A large portion of news in the world of sports is revolved around interviews. Many of these interviews occur before, during, and after the games with coaches, staff, and athletes.
You're getting a lot of fans here. A lot of them are female, and they want to know if you could date anyone in the world. Who would you date?
Any response to recent comments about your girlish figure?
Are you serious?
Removing your body hair gives you an edge in the pool. How about your love life?
How has your weight gain affected your mobility?
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Have you heard the controversy over your helmet hair?
Get ready to see some great biceps, tiny tanks, and more.
I wonder if his dad said to him when he was younger, listen, you're never going to be a Looker, you're never going to be a Beckham, so you have to compensate for that.
He really does have the kind of body international judges love.
Could you give us a twirl and tell us about your outfit?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man.
You just don't understand. I can sit here and tell you for an hour, you wouldn't understand. Because you've never played, you've never been an athlete before in your life.
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
On what level?
Football player.
On what level? Oh, not junior. Oh, my goodness, junior, huh?
My job is asking questions.
Okay, and I'm answering them, and you trying to tell me I'm lying to you?
No.
You got forward and bumped your little head, man, I'm telling you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. I lost.
You lost?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So, what happened out there?
Are you serious?
No.
Did you watch the match?
The short clips previously shown show the flaws that are prevalent in the culture of sports interviews. Issues regarding athlete requirements include excess media access, reporters asking irrelevant and personal questions, as well as athletes using interviews as platforms for their own personal benefit. One of the largest flaws in the systems is athletes being forced to attend interviews on a daily basis when they may have nothing at all to say. The first thing we're going to talk about today are the strict requirements set out for athletes.
The most predominant rule in sports media is that athlete and coach interviews are required before, during, and after games. According to the redandblack.com, one of the biggest controversies in sports is over the topic of sports interviews and if they should be required. The requirements for athletes and coaches are strict, and many people agree that the rules are not fair. Some examples of athlete requirements for interviews are specific for before the game, after, and in the locker room. According to the NFL media policy, before games, the media has access to athletes during practices for 45 minutes every day, except for Tuesday. The policy states that this is the player's day off. There is weekly locker room access for the media, and the interviews are typically held in locker rooms or close by. According to thecomplex.com, star players like Marshawn Lynch are required to actively participate in at least 2 interviews a week. After games, star players are required to enter an interview station with the head coach as soon as possible for follow-up questions. Every other player in the locker room is then open for the media to ask questions 10 to 12 minutes after the game is over. Requirements for athletes are strict regarding news coverage, but it has become normalized over the years. Now that we've talked to you about athlete requirements, we're going to go into fan entitlement, which may explain why these athlete requirements are so strict. When it comes to interviewing in the world of sports, one of the major reasons as to why they exist in the first place is due to entertainment provided towards the audience members. Fans tend to feel as if they hold an entitlement towards the completion of these interviews, along with questions being asked due to extreme case of devotion. Entitlement has been found as one of the biggest epidemics in sports. An underlying reason as to why fans feel strongly about this sense of entitlement includes the idea that professional athletes have received an increase in salary, therefore making them inclined to participate in various activities outside of games and practices. This idea of fandom and consumption highlights the effects of when the audience members become too emotionally invested in players and their teams.
According to Bleacher Report's Amber Lee, fans are the lifeblood of sports. In various ways, they contribute to the success and development of sports in both positive and negative aspects. At times, fans become too invested as they set high expectations for athletes to live up to, which they can affect an athlete's internalization. An article titled, "Do Fans Put Too Much Pressure on Their Favorite Professional Athletes?" talks about an athlete who once loved soccer, but because of his fans, does not anymore. Landon Donovan played American soccer for more than a decade until it became a burden. In recent years, he had begun to view his talent not so much as a gift, but as an obligation. Donovan said, "Every game, they want you to go out and do everything you can to make the fans feel good, make the coach feel successful, and make the owners successful." Fans took over his life and his love because of the entitlement they have built. This may happen or have happened to many athletes, but not all athletes share their stories.
Landon put his story out there for everyone to engage in, which is out of the ordinary for athletes. One fan responded, "Fans expect their favorite athletes to be the best and to always win." Another fan was quick to say Landon does not have the problems he said he had and to get back on the field. This fan exemplifies confirmation bias by quickly reverting back to Landon as a soccer player and ignoring the fact that he just stated he has problems. This fan also relates to the objectification theory as he only looks at Landon's athleticness and neglects his depression. Objectification theory occurs when individuals focus on a person's physical characteristics and neglect a person's psychological characteristics. Many fans turn to objectify when they are talking about athletes. Fans make sure they stay up to date on how their favorite athletes are doing on the fields. But do they make sure that they are up to date on how athletes are actually doing?
Let me tell you why I want to talk about this article. 3/4 of this is inaccurate. It's fiction. And this article embarrasses me to be involved with athletics tremendously. And that article had to have been written by a person that doesn't have a child and has never had a child that's had their heart broken and come home upset and had to deal with the child when he is upset and kick a person when he's down.
Fans have this entitlement over athletes and the game, but most of the time do not care to know more.
From all of the previous information, we can conclude that fans may not know when they are crossing the line with athletes and their personal life. Now that you all know more about fan entitlement, we are going to move on to the topic about how bad and personal questions are frequently asked during athlete interviews. One issue that challenges the necessity of these interviews are the questions being asked by reporters. Oftentimes, post-game interviews ask questions that are irrelevant, too personal, or downright ignorant, and insulting the player expected to answer them. These athletes are required to give reporters their time before and after the game, and often just end up being belittled as athletes.
Tristan called LeBron a great father after the Chicago game. So what type of parental role has he played for you and your teammates, LeBron?
Oh, okay. So you... parental role?
These poorly thought out questions sometimes result in laughter regarding the ignorance of them or anger regarding how personal they sometimes are. Either way, these questions usually result in the athletes ending the interview early, clearly annoyed at reporters, feeling like they've wasted their time. These questions can sometimes offend athletes, which can lead to the question of whether these types of interviews should be required, or if at least there should be some type of standards set for questions asked in interviews, to use both the athletes and the reporters' time more efficiently.
Through these bad and personal questions, some athletes then feel prompted to use their interviews as platforms to advocate for social change.
How hard was it to keep the ball on the ground and run out the clock, especially in the fourth quarter when you know this team is so good in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
How does your back feel, Marshawn?
Yeah.
You got those heating pads in your cleats?
I got a foundation dinner at the Edgewater on December 14th. On December 14th, to help benefit the inner city youth out in Oakland. We're trying to raise money to build a youth center. So yeah.
Edgewater Hotel?
Yeah.
Not only are interviews conducted to highlight various game updates, they have also been used by athletes to assist in the promotion of social change. Platforms have been set up and used by many athletes in the sports world in order to bring attention towards certain ideas, issues, and organizations. Since many interviews are aired on live television, the attendance of audience members is typically high. This allows the athlete to verbally express vital information to a large number of viewers that could bring awareness and conversation towards a set idea. Marshawn Lynch used his interview platform to further discuss his banquet that benefits the inner city youth. Rather than answering what Lynch considers irrelevant questions, he uses this time to highlight his own event. With the requirement of athletes to participate in interviews at various times, some decide to use that period of time to discuss important ideas. While interviews can be used to further discuss vital plays within the different sports programs, they can also provide athletes with a stage to assist in the promotion of social changes. According to Stephen Michael Thomas Jr. in his 2017 article called "Why More Professional Athletes Should Use Their Platform to Talk About Social Issues," he states how he would love to see more athletes talk about police brutality, voter suppression, racial stereotypes, and many more topics in the future. Maybe even talk about how teams truly fail to find black coaches and general managers, as well as how sexist the American sports society currently is. No matter what the issue is, more athletes need to step up to the plate, and this is the perfect time to do it. Athletes may not always be asked appropriate questions during their interviews. However, that time could be used to create and call attention to a platform for social justice. From the aggressive and frustrating to the positive and heartwarming, interviews are everywhere in the world of sports. According to Statista, in 2017, there were over 134,000 hours of sports coverage on television, so it is no surprise as to why athletes are being interviewed so frequently. The countless amount of interviews athletes are forced to endure during the on and off season creates opportunity for reporters to not only ask irrelevant questions, but athletes' responses become aggressive and promotional.
We watched as Marshawn Lynch promoted his charity event instead of responding to his injury on the field, and he doesn't stand alone. Through the athlete requirements, bad and personal questions, and available platforms, interviews have been proved to play a vital role in the lives of athletes and their fans, but the question still stands on whether or not there should be a reevaluation on the process of interviews and how they are conducted.
Thanks again for watching our 30 for 30.
Until next time.